Now, my Diablo story started back in the early 2000s. Now, I was hanging out at a friend's house, and I was just kind of walking down the hall. I walked by their brother's room, and I heard that familiar sound of cows just being absolutely slaughtered. Now, for several different days after that, me and a few of us other friends were actually kind of in there hanging out with my friend's brother, watching him find the loot, find the gear, level up, and all that good stuff. And to be honest, a lot of us, we kind of fell in love with this game. So a little bit down the road, I did actually end up playing it a little bit, really liked it, and ended up getting the battle chest for myself. So that was just after the expansion, Lord of Destruction, came out. Now, while we did get the Diablo 2, the Lord of Destruction expansion, and it along came with Diablo 1. Now, one day, I think maybe when the internet was down or something like that, I decided to go ahead and try Diablo 1 out, but I was a little bit underwhelmed at the time. So I played the game for honestly like 10 minutes, and I never touched it again. Now, that is until early 2024. Now, Blizzard finally came out with Diablo 1 here, where you could just download it on the Battle.net launcher. So I figured, hey, why don't I give it a try? This is the place where the entire journey began. I had a little extra motivation to go ahead and try it out because pretty much every single person I talked to that loves Diablo 2, they also love Diablo 1. So I thought, you know what? This might be right up my alley to try. So let's go ahead and embark on this adventure of my first trip through the game that started it all, Diablo 1. So for my very first ever playthrough, I was just gonna do it by myself. So I just went to single player, go ahead and made a character. I went with the warrior. Come to find out, was several hours in before I found out that you actually can't play the harder difficulties, nightmare difficulty, and hell difficulty unless you play online. Minor oversight, but here we head out marching into the town completely blind. After moseying around and being just stubborn, not talking to any of the townsfolk because, well, that's just how I do it, chat finally tells me to head over to the northeast here and find the cathedral, and down into the battle we begin. Now, obviously, I got to keep it 100% with you. When I first started playing this, really first getting down in here, chopping down different monsters, I was unsure about if I really liked this game or not. It honestly does feel dated, and that's because, well, it is dated. But once you get a little further into the game, my opinion did begin to shift. Now we started finding different items, started to have to make decisions on, well, what was I going to do? Two-handed, one-handed, all the different stuff that you just kind of have to discover when you play a game for the very first time, literally ever. Now, a lot of times when I play the games for the very first time, I'm always worried that I'm going to miss something. So I quite often explore every nook and cranny of the map. I kind of look around everywhere just to make sure there's not some area and maybe something important that I do miss. And because this was my first time, I heard absolute horror stories about the butcher. So when I came across where he was, chat kind of warned me he was there. I decided to go ahead and run past and just go ahead and find better gear, maybe level up a little bit. But after I got down a little ways, chat was kind of razzing me, hey, go back and fight the butcher. We want to see what actually will happen to you. So that is indeed exactly what I did.
Fresh meat.
Oh, I had to click, I forgot. What's up with this, the sound he makes?
The spirits of the dead are now avenged.
This is your champion? This is what you bring me? Guys, what? This was easier than the archers. What's going on here? Literally a group of like 5 archers would have been harder than that. So yeah, just faced tanked the butcher. Wasn't exactly as difficult as a lot of people described. Some people said I over leveled or something like that, but I don't know. I just played the game and I went and fought him when I went and fought him. So I ended up throwing on the butcher's cleaver because it was like way more damage than what I had been using. And it does pretty good for me for a while. Now, after the butcher, we continue to explore our way down. And this is not a drop highlight video per se, fellas, but when there's drops that completely change the way that the game is played for me, I'm going to go ahead and show you those to you. So here we got a unique monster, I suppose, or some kind of champion. So we go ahead and take him out. I'm still rocking the butcher's cleaver, but that changes real quick after finding this unique shield. So not understanding how significantly awesome finding this unique shield is I go ahead and chuck it in the stash, which in Diablo 1 single player offline, is just throwing everything on the ground. But chat let me know, hey, Phil, that is a huge mistake. That shield's going to help out your survivability like crazy, and really, you're not going to feel that huge damage drop off that you think you're going to feel switching to a one-handed weapon. So I follow their advice and go ahead and rock this mace and this shield. And oh boy, does it feel great. Now I block like probably 60 or 70% of all incoming attacks. So I mean, the amount of survivability I get from that off of this shield, just all I can say is spectacular. We go quite a while without any noticeable upgrades. I mean, I do get a unique ring as a quest reward for something I did for Griswold, but besides that, we march down through level 6, level 7, level 8, level 9, level 10, without much but just some small upgrades. That is until at the center of level 10, after clearing out all the monsters, I get the Anvil of Fury. And oh boy, the reward for this quest is astronomically good for this warrior character. We come over here and chat with Griswold, and he gives us the Griswold's Edge. Now, it's a sword, and the real thing on here that helps you out a bunch is actually that knockback. A lot of people said knockback is incredibly annoying, but the number of times this saved my life or just kept me alive by keeping monsters just out of my range, I literally end up using it the entire rest of the game, all the way through taking out Diablo. With my next upgrade coming at level 13, 54 to fire res. Unfortunately, I don't have enough strength to wear it, and I don't for a couple of levels here. We'll stash it on the ground and move on a little bit. You can see I'm already up to level 21 actually, and like I said, I'm like midway through level 13. Now, I'm going to be perfectly honest. I was planning on this day going through the rest of the entire game while streaming and eventually taking out Diablo, but this level 13, level 14, and then level 15 took me much longer than I anticipated. Specifically, this level 13 was incredibly difficult when I first got there, and then when you get to the higher levels, there's all these succubi that are constantly shooting you and just constantly running away, so you got to chase them down or you have them shooting you for the rest of eternity. So that did take quite a bit of time to chase these suckers down. So once again, it was kind of little upgrade here, little upgrade there. I did upgrade the shield, you see, but this was a mega huge upgrade, getting 40 to all resistance on the armor. I finally had enough strength to wear it, so this helped me out a ton, and this wasn't until part of the way into level 15, so the game really is almost over at this point. Now, chat always wanted to see Phil suffer, always wanted to see me go through a challenge, says you have to go do Lazarus. Yeah, let's go ahead and take care of him. And yeah, my goodness, this was an annoying area, all ranged attacks of every kind, but we eventually do subdue these monsters and clear the area. And after we take him out, what do we get? Yeah, a short bow. Thanks a lot, bro. Now after that, it's finally time to head down to the big dog. That's what's right in the middle there, that pentagram. But unfortunately, I was busy that day. Chat warned me it could take me a long time depending on how that lower level goes for me. So if I have to go anytime soon, maybe I might just want to hold off till another day. So that's what I decided to do. Now, this final level for down here where Diablo's supposed to be somewhere, I'm not sure. I'm flipping levers, walking around, and I'm going to be honest, I take it quite slow. All these mages casting at you all the time. So I use a little bit of that strategy, hiding, dip, dodging, ducking, and diving, you know what I mean, to kind of just go ahead and take them out at my own leisurely pace. Like I said, playing it safe. Unfortunately, no one warned me that Diablo was going to be right over here now after flipping those levers, so right in the middle of 30 monsters, all of a sudden, big Diablo shows his face. Uh-oh, I did not see him. Where did he? Oh boy, this is gonna be a problem. I did not. Why didn't you guys warn me he was over there? Why didn't you guys warn me? Now, I kind of lure him over to a spot where I'd kind of been playing it safe the whole time. I didn't want these mages to be casting at me nonstop. I go ahead and throw that Griswold's Edge back on, and lo and behold, you can actually just knock back Diablo over and over and over again. And I don't know if it's because I lured him into the small area, but he literally can't hit me. I don't know if I accidentally found a glitch or something, or I don't know, maybe it's a combination of the knockback with the small area, but you see him constantly casting, and I don't take any damage from Diablo at all. So with the setup I got with the Griswold's Edge, with this small area over here, Diablo was literally a trivial fight. The standard regular monsters were actually harder. I actually, just to test a little bit, went and tried to fight him again, just out in the open area, and he was dealing a crap ton of damage to me. So I really do think that being over in that little small area for some reason made it way easier to go ahead and beat Diablo with this warrior. Now, this is my first playthrough of Diablo 1 in my entire life. Now, what did I actually think of the game? Now, I thought it was pretty good. I was not sure at first. I really was not. But it really grew on me actually incredibly quickly, probably a couple of hours once I got the general hang of just like getting gear, where the different vendors were in town and stuff like that. I really had a great time playing this. Now, I got asked all the time, what would I rate it out of like 10? And I found it very hard to do, because how do you compare this game to like Morrowind or any of the Elder Scrolls, Skyrim? How do you even compare it to any of the Call of Duty games, Halo games or something, Resident Evils, Grand Theft Autos? Like, how do you compare a game from that long ago to games nowadays and actually give it a rating? But I'll be honest, from my 37-year-old man's perspective, I honestly give this game probably like an 8 out of 10. It's definitely got its limitations, and yes, there are a ton of mods that I could have gotten and that you can go ahead and get if you wanted to go ahead and play this, where you run faster, or just generally overall a ton of other quality of life changes that probably would make the game even better. But I wanted to get that like launch day experience type of play. Now, when you factor in the price, it's only $10 on the Battle.net launcher, and it's probably going to be on sale in probably like 6 months, because they only make money when they sell more copies, and eventually everyone's going to have a copy and they'll just lower the price and to try to sell more. Or if you really wanted to, a game this old, there's probably ways to find like shareware versions of it or something like that on the internet. So you could probably play it for completely free. I would say, in my opinion, if you have any inclination on thinking that you might really like and really want to play this game, go ahead and do it, because I believe you're not going to be disappointed.